Welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility podcast, where it's all about using the power of your mind to create hope, health, and miracles on your fertility journey. And now your host, a dash of science and a heap of spirit, Dr. Maria Rothenberger.
Hey there, welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility podcast. I'm Dr. Maria Rothenberger, your host, and today we are going to be talking about the fifth chakra. We are doing a chakra series for the last few weeks and following up right now in the middle with the throat chakra, which is the fifth chakra. And I pull information from various sources, but my main two sources that I would love to refer you guys to is chopra.com and also Dr. Carolyn Mace's book, Anatomy of the Spirit. Really excellent resources for energy work. So before we get into the throat chakra stuff, just talking about some announcements for the Miracles Happen Fertility Center. I have postponed the training for Spirit Baby Foundations. It is still happening, but it will be happening in September. This is due to my own limit setting and boundaries and the like, which I love to model for you guys. So I just have become quite busy and overloaded. And so needing to create some simplicity and space between the big projects that I do, because I tend to want to do too much because my job is freaking fun. So there's that. So Spirit Baby Foundations training, if you are interested, that is going to be an 8-week in-depth training all about the foundations of essentially mediumship work, but I work specifically with the Spirit Baby realm. If you have ever been told that you are sensitive or empathic or you sense things that others don't, and you're interested in either picking up and sensing your own spirit babies a little bit better, or you want to help others communicate with their spirit babies, this is a great training to do. It is going to be pretty intimate and small. Only a few people will be a part of this because I want to make it really rich. You will be getting one-on-one time with me, time with your comrades, both live and in a support kind of, online non-Facebook thing. I think I'm going to not do Facebook, but we'll see. Anyway, so all hanging out together online, all hanging together live in a class kind of thing on Zoom, and you will have one-on-one time with me. We will be practicing skills, so be prepared to actually use the shit that you're going to learn. Yay! But I promise you it's quite safe. There is zero judgment. I kind of giggle at some of the emails that I get. People are like, this is going to sound weird, but I'm here to tell you, if you feel like you have to start a sentence with that, you are totally in the right place for somebody to not think that you're weird, because I talk to dead people. So there's that. All right. So that is going to be starting in September. If you're interested, go to drmariarothenberger.com/spiritbabytraining and sign up for the information. Some emails are going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks, outlining everything you need to know about the training. What else? The Miracles Happen membership is still going on. I am going to be running a little bit of a special on that soon, so you might want to hang out and wait for a little bit. I'm going to offer a special thing for folks who are already members and for folks who would like to become members and you just have been waiting a little bit. So hang on a little while longer. If you're on my newsletter, you will get information on that. And you can get on my newsletter at drmariarothenberger.com and just fill out your information right on the front page there. If you want to, you could also scroll down a little bit more on that front page and pick a gift. That'll also pop you right on my newsletter, so you'll get the same information. I do not bombard your inbox, by the way. I only send out a monthly newsletter and then occasional extras very rarely. So there's that. Okay, let's talk about the fifth chakra. If you go back to the first episode that we talked about the chakra system, this really is very basic information about our energy system. And it is only the 7 chakras that are within the body. There are other chakras, the major chakras. There are even tiny chakras that are the not major chakras that are inside our body. And we even have chakras that are outside our body in the aura. So we are only talking about the 7 major primary chakras here in this series, and it's very basic information. I absolutely encourage you to go learn more about the chakra system. So in this series, we're talking about what each chakra is, what it governs, how do you know it's out of balance, and what to do to fix it. Now, the throat chakra is really interesting, and I love something that Dr. Carolyn May says in her book, The Anatomy of the Spirit. I'm going to get to that in a second. The throat chakra is located in the throat area, and it governs let me look at the body parts, the physical body parts that it governs. It governs the throat, the thyroid, the trachea, the neck vertebra, the mouth, teeth and gums, esophagus, parathyroid, and hypothalamus. And the mental and emotional issues that are related to the throat chakra include choice and strength of will. Whew, that's a big one in the fertility world, don't you think? Personal expression, following one's dream, using personal power to create, addiction issues, judgment and criticism, faith and knowledge, and the capacity to make decisions. Physical issues that might come as a function of an imbalanced fifth chakra are having a raspy throat, chronic sore throat, mouth ulcers, gum difficulties, temporomandibular joint problems, scoliosis, laryngitis. Ooh, that was a big one for me. Always, 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 especially in high school. Swollen glands and thyroid problems. So now, just to reiterate, usually there is an energetic issue before there's a physical issue. So you don't need to have any of these physical symptoms to have an imbalance in your throat chakra. That's just a heads up. So energy moves much faster than the physical plane does. All right, so the thing that I wanted to talk about with Carolyn Mace, now it's interesting. The way that she talks about the throat chakra is kind of similar to how she talks about the solar plexus. So when she talks about the solar plexus, she talks about personal power. It's related to personal power. And when she talks about the fifth chakra, it's related to will, personal things that are related to will. And in fact, the chapter is called The Power of Will. So it's interesting. When I have learned about the throat chakra before, I've learned about it being a part of self-expression, like really being clear about your needs and wants and desires and your limits and boundaries, and expressing that really well. And that could be through just using words. It could be through writing. It could be through singing or anything like that. But the way that Carolyn Mace talks about it is slightly different. So I'd love to bring this other point of view. So she talks about the fifth chakra as being a part of not just one's personal will, but the balance between that and surrendering, like having faith. Faith is a big word in this chapter of her book. And so obviously that's a pretty big deal when we're talking about the fertility world, right? Where our faith, if you had any to begin with, is constantly challenged. Trusting that this person knows what they're talking about, that this provider knows what they're talking about, that I'm pointed in the right direction because I have no idea where else to go or what else to do. I'm not a physician. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. And so you depend on others quite a bit in the fertility world, right? Now, what I love about, now, I do love that, but what else I love about what Carolyn Mays says is that if you think about it, the throat chakra is located between the head, which is the third eye and the crown chakras, and the heart. And that in the psychology world is called wise mind. When you're able to look at the head and all of your thoughts, the fears, the worries, the rationality, and look at the heart, all of the emotions, and you combine them in a way that serves you well. That's called living in wise mind in the specific therapy called DBT. So I love what Carolyn May says about that, because when you are looking at balancing the throat chakra, that is all about this balance between your mind and your heart. This is living in wise mind. And then you express yourself based on that. Now, here's a great example. For those of you who have read Transcending Infertility, that's my book that was published in November. If you haven't, what? Heartbreaking. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Go check it out now on Amazon. Or you can look at transcendinginfertilitybook.com. There, pardon me, there's a chapter in there called Wearing Infertility Masks. And that's the perfect chapter to address the throat chakra, because when you are wearing an infertility mask, you are living completely inauthentically. What you're doing is, there's a balance between living authentically, completely open, and protecting yourself too. So there are some times when you do need to protect yourself by wearing that fertility mask, like you have to act as if everything is okay, but not as much as we tend to do. And so that chapter, I may as well have called it Throat Chakra Balancing, although I don't know if people would know what that meant in that particular book. So when you are living authentically, you are living from a place of wise mind, and you are living from a place of faith. Let me explain that. Faith is not just a belief in a higher power or a belief that, something external from you has got your back, although I totally believe that's true. I always believe that the universe is conspiring for us rather than against us. However, if you don't, then you have the balance of the other side of that, your internal guidance system. You have faith that you know what to do next. Now, when you have this really well balanced, then you have both. You have a belief that your own internal guidance system is really useful and working for you well, and you have the benefit of the external source. Now, from an energetic point of view, I do believe that it's all one and the same. But oftentimes, here we are humans living on this planet, and we are seemingly separate from one another. So in order to, live in that space where we are individuals living individually and apart from other people, we can separate those two. So without going down the rabbit hole of that topic, because I could, oh my gosh, especially with a glass of wine. If I got a glass of wine and you want to come over, I can talk all day about this philosophical shit. So anyway, when you are an individual living, especially in the fertility world, when you're having to rely on other people a lot for your treatment or direction on what you should do, and you have your throat chakra really well balanced, you have a well-balanced faith. Well-balanced faith in an entity or entities outside of you, and faith in yourself and your own internal guidance system. And so when Carolyn Mays talks about that, the throat chakra is literally between the head and the heart. that makes perfect sense. This throat chakra, when you are living your own, personal life goals and dreams, the throat chakra is really well balanced because you're taking information from your environment and from your internal resources. And you're having faith that those are the things that you need to do in order to live your personal goals and your personal dreams. And you're not afraid to say it. Back before I started doing spirit baby work, holy cow, was I ever fearful of speaking up and saying this is something that I can do. It was only the power of you guys that helped me be vocal about it, because I realized the potential for healing and wellness through that particular experience for people. And so if you are ever able to, look at the possible benefits for speaking up, for being authentically you, especially with yourself. But if it needs to come from an external thing, then fine. The idea is that you're able to follow through with your personal goals and your dreams, using that balance of faith, both internal and external reliance on others and yourself. So that's how Carolyn Myss talks about it. She's talking a lot about faith and surrender. Surrender is a very big deal in the fertility world. I, in fact, made a meditation about surrender. You can head over to drmariarothenberger.com/shop to pick that up. And if you feel like you have a really hard time letting go and surrendering to what comes your way, that's a great meditation to do. There's also one called Letting Go, Not Giving Up. Same vibe. So that's how Carolyn Myss talks about the throat chakra. She also talks about a couple of things that I think are useful things to bring to awareness. She says the greatest act of will in which we can invest our spirits is to choose to live according to these rules. 1, make no judgments. 2, have no expectations. 3, this is important, give up the need to know why things happen as they do. 4, trust that the unscheduled events of our lives are a form of spiritual direction. And 5, have the courage to make the choices we need to make, accept what we cannot change, and have the wisdom to know the difference. There's that balance there. You probably all heard the serenity prayer, right? And with surrender comes serenity, because you just have a trust and a faith and a knowing that all is well. The throat chakra is a big deal. It is not, this tiny thing. It's really important. And you might find yourself squelching your own opinions and your own thoughts about things. I just talked to somebody yesterday about meeting with a new doc, and having this intimidation around talking to a physician because, quote, they know better than me, they've had years of training and knowledge. Yeah, that's true, and they've never lived in your body. I did a podcast episode called You Know Better Than Your Doctor, and that's the same idea, because they've never lived in your body, so they cannot tell you what is best for you. All they can do is make recommendations based on statistics and their vast amounts of training and knowledge. No joke. It's very hard work, and they have earned the distinguishment that they have, right? Like, not to discount that at all, but you are the distinguished provider of your own body. You know your body much better than anybody else. So that is what Carolyn Myss has to say about the throat chakra. Let's look at Chopra.com. So, by the way, the throat chakra is blue, and that's exactly how I see it when I look at people's energy centers. Sometimes it'll have a little mix of so the heart chakra is a green vibration. It'll have a little bit of a mix with the heart chakra, so it'll look a little bit like a dark turquoisey color, or like the ocean on the Keys or in Hawaii or something. So it's that kind of, it's a beautiful color. And sometimes it's just a regular old, like a blue, like a cobalt blue kind of thing. Maybe a little bit lighter than a cobalt blue. And so we're going to talk about why that's important. We talk about color is very important. Resonance of color is very important. This is what Chopra has to say, Dr. Chopra. So he says that the throat governs, as we've already covered, the thyroid, the parathyroid, the jaw, the neck, the mouth, the tongue, the larynx. And he talks about the throat chakra being about speaking, expressing yourself, communicating well, and listening. Listening is very important in order to express yourself well. Why is that? Because you are getting information that informs your internal self. When you gain more information, you're able to create your own will, your own decisions from your own will, and express them well. And then Dr. Chopra also mentions faith as being a part of this chakra. This chakra is called Vishuddha in Sanskrit. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Vishuddha. It governs, he talks about different senses too. It governs the sense of hearing, which makes sense if you're speaking and listening. He talks a lot about what I just mentioned around masks in the fertility world, authentic expression. And I think if memory serves, when I wrote it in Transcending Infertility, I said, so if you don't know about Transcending Infertility, the book is about my personal fertility journey and my journey to parenthood, and all the lessons I learned along the way, and I narrowed it all down to these 9 keys. And so each chapter has a bit of my story, and then it has what you need to learn from this, what I learned from this, and why it's important for you, and how to bring that lesson home through these various activities. So one of the activities I wrote about in the Wearing Infertility Mask chapter was be authentic. And I gave a bunch of things that you can do to express your authentic nature. Very important for the throat chakra. There were many times in my life that I have not been authentic, and that results, for me, it results in laryngitis. Every single time. I literally can't speak. All right. Expressing your truth, being authentic. This is really important when you find yourself saying yes when you really want to say no, out of obligation, like you feel bad, whatever it might be. I always come back to those things that you don't want to do when you're struggling to conceive, like attending baby showers or throwing baby showers or even attending events like weddings and stuff. Weirdly, that's a plus that came out of the COVID thing, because we could say no easily. No, we're not ready yet to be out, and about. No, we don't feel comfortable yet doing that. Oh, sorry, we're under quarantine. Can't go, can't do that. It was really helpful. But now that we're back, starting to get back into the groove of things, this is going to become even more important. You might find yourself having a sore throat or something if you're not speaking your truth or expressing your authentic needs, wants, desires to other people. Now, does that mean you get to be a jerk about it? Absolutely not. You know why? Because when you are speaking and setting limits and being completely authentic, it can only come from compassion and care, because there's nothing to prove to anybody. You're honoring yourself, and that is a loving, compassionate energy. So when you honor yourself, you're feeling loving and compassionate, and then you're able to express your limits and boundaries in that way. So you're not going to be a jerk about it. You're just going to set your limit and boundary. And I bet you, just watch this happen. When you set limits and boundaries with people, at first they might be like, whoa, that's not like them. But after a while, they're like, oh, absolutely, that makes total sense. It's completely fine. In fact, Chopra refers to Dr. David Simon, who talks about things around setting limits and boundaries. First, ask yourself, is what I am about to say true? If so, is what I am about to say necessary? And if so, is what I'm about to say kind? Those three are beautiful governing rules for communicating what you need and want to other people. It's gorgeous. It's a compassionate way of being. Okay, so if you are finding that your throat chakra is out of balance, perhaps you're feeling, you might not even have a physical anomaly, but maybe you're feeling like, oh, I want to say no, but I'm finding myself saying yes. That is a throat chakra imbalance. So if you're finding that, or you're finding that you're having some physical anomalies, these are the things that you can do to help balance the throat chakra. The throat chakra is blue. That means consuming blue foods, like literally blueberries, right? Or anything that is blue, that's helpful. Wearing blue clothing is helpful. And then physical things like singing, chanting, humming. I even suggest writing. That's a form of self-expression. So typing things on your phone or writing them out longhand, it doesn't really matter as long as it's self-expression. So this is a lot of creativity work. And this is just another example of how the chakras are related, because the second chakra is all about creativity. So you'll find that if you address the throat chakra self-expression through these creative means like singing and humming or chanting or creating poetry or writing a short story or whatever, that your second chakra is also getting more balanced and energized. It's really cool. 2 for 1. Also, sound is really helpful for balancing the chakra system. The sound for the 5th chakra is hum, which makes total sense, right? Humming. And then Dr. Chopra references 2 types of breathing exercises that are really helpful. So Ujjayi Breath, which is really common in the yoga world. It's when the tip of your tongue is touching the roof of the mouth, and you are breathing pretty strongly with your mouth closed and through your through your nose. I would suggest looking up a YouTube video on Ujjayi Breath. It's Ujjayi Breath. And then Lion's Breath. If you've not done Lion's Breath in a yoga class yet, I highly recommend. It's so bizarre and fun. It feels so awkward at first because you're like, well, this is really weird. You're literally sticking your tongue out and like heavily breathing. It's kind of fun. But that is also something that helps re-energize and rebalance the throat chakra. Also, yoga. So camel pose, bridge pose, shoulder stand, and plow. I am not a yoga instructor, so I highly recommend either checking out a YouTube channel on yoga, or if you are a yoga instructor or you know somebody, you attend class or whatever, you can ask about those specific poses. Crystals. Crystals are another thing that you can do, which I am totally getting addicted to. Okay, what am I saying? I'm addicted already. Which, by the way, if you are interested in the Spirit Baby Foundations training, you'll be getting some crystals. Yes, crystals, pendulum, other fun little things. It's going to be exciting. Okay, so for the 5th chakra, the 5th chakra happens to be my favorite too. I love this balance between mind and heart. I am a blue girl all the way. My favorite color is all shades of blue, and I love blue crystals. Things like sapphire. Ooh, I just had a Spirit Baby session yesterday, or the day before. That sapphire came up. Anyway, blue topaz, lapis lazuli, which happens to be also related to my horoscope sign. Ooh, I don't even know if that's chance. I think that's synchronicity. And aquamarine and turquoise. You might want to go back to the podcast episode I did on how to use crystals in the fertility world. There are myriad of ways that you can use crystals to aid in healing and various things, and of course balancing chakras. So I suggest looking that up in previous podcast episodes, or Dr. Googling it, or attend a class, or whatever speaks to you. Speaks to you. See what I did there? In order to use crystals to heal and to balance your chakra system. But those are the examples of crystals that you can use for the throat chakra. Okay, this is so fun. I love talking about chakras. It's a good time. Next week, we are going to be talking about intuition. I've talked about intuition a lot. We'll be talking about the third eye chakra. And I wrote about the third eye chakra I think I did mention chakra in Transcending Infertility, but I talked about it from a brain-based point of view. And I, as you know, am like lots of science, or a little bit of science and a lot of bit of spirit, right? So I love looking at sciencey things. The third chakra, this is so fascinating. Not the third chakra, the third eye chakra, which is the sixth chakra. It is the one right between your eyebrows. It is fascinating. And really, a lot of folks that I work with happen to have a really open and balanced third eye chakra. It's like the lower chakras that there are some imbalances. But I can't wait to talk about that one. All right. Until then, though, as always, wishing you all kinds of balance and wellness and self-expression and authentic self-expression, being totally you, moving forward with your dreams, and having that balance between faith in your external sources and faith within yourself. May you surrender, and until next time, my friend, be well.